Hi, everyone. Thank you so very much for being here today. This is Delisa. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you enjoy this content, I want you to hit that connect button, that like button, that subscribe button, wherever you are, and follow along with Jeanette and I from Refounded Education. So today I have a special guest. Her name is Jeanette. She is the founder of Refounded Ed as well as Limitless Ed. LimitlessEdX. And she has an incredible story as well as tips and insights on how you can collaborate and partner through education. Welcome, Jeanette. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Delisa. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Please share with the audience who you are, who you serve, and how you are influencing lives.
So my name is Jeanette Eastin. I'm the founder, like she said, of Refound Education. LimitlessEdX is a recent development, a subsidiary, if anything. So essentially, Refound Education is about creating a profitable education ecosystem that can give back to community. So it's about bringing everyone together so that we are putting the power back in the hands of parents, back in the hands of community, and really allocating funds to fill those education gaps because our kids desperately need it. And the advancements in education are going to surpass.
No, don't worry. Hey, this is real life.
It's real life, right? So essentially, okay, babe, can you go ask daddy? Go ask daddy. So we started building community with by creating events and bringing people together through groups and collaborations. We started just sharing tips, tricks, and having a mastermind groups. And because it's been so developed, go see daddy for a minute, babe.
Yeah, and so no, I completely understand with what's happening there. And you know what? It makes sense what you're doing. You started off with education. You expanded out to Limitless X to support and nurture entrepreneurs in the educational field. Because what happens is people forget that, or they just think that with education, it's in a big brown building, because that's what's been happening for over a century. Now things are shifting and changing, and there are educators who are starting their own businesses. There are educators who are revolutionizing the industry. And so this is where you come in, and this is where you're showing and guiding us how to forge strategic partnerships. So thank you so very much for sharing that piece. I want to get into right away, because there's three main points I want to talk about. Networking and allies. When you started, based on what I know, when you started, it was the Instagram account, and educators were following you. A lot of homeschoolers, a lot of micro schools. And in terms of the networking, you were more networking, like more B2C, right? Because I think you started off as a nonprofit, but now you've expanded out to have networking and allyship. So it's a B2C and B2B approach. Can you please share with the audience and myself more about that approach?
Definitely. So there's a big have these, babe, and I will go have them. You're not going to get any more if you don't enjoy those. So essentially what we realized is it's a very huge segment, right? So Refound Education is we're connecting more the education to the parents, and that we started separating Limitless edX to be more of the education management side, because educators are engaging in business for the first time. They're being adventurous, but there are struggles with entrepreneurship. It is not for the weak. And as you
Yes.
can tell, you're always we're also, besides entrepreneurs, we're mothers, we're fathers, we're all the things. And so as we come together, we can actually help each other and save each other time, save, try and conserve our energy so that we're pouring into what matters most, our kids, our family. So we're not so, we're not spread so thin. And once we kind of iron out the kinks of, especially in the grassroots movement, because Rome was not built in a day, then we can be a lot more efficient. And I know people are scared of privatization, but there is a beauty of voting with your funds. There's a beauty in elevating those that really put the work in. So it's no politics, no ideologies. People are putting their money where their mouth is, and they are voting with those funds. And I know many people are wishing we could do that with our government right now.
Yeah.
But that is, that's a work in progress, and hopefully we will see improvements there. But education, there's so much value. And even like the unions, they started good, but it's snowballed into something where they're not listening to the voices of the parents. And that needs to change, because you need that connection with, like, educators need to connect with each other, families need to connect with each other, and then we need to interconnect, which is the biggest challenge in just bringing everyone together, right? Because everyone looks at things from a different perspective. Everyone has different, viewpoints, and people need to, like, be able to agree to disagree, or essentially be able to just come together for larger goals and larger visions, so that we ultimately have choice. And I think our kids deserve to have choice. The families deserve to have that comfort and choice, and we get to curate their educational experience according to their talents and passions. And I think that's quite inspirational, because you're removing limitations from, because once you have a profitable business model, you can actually remove even socioeconomic, religious, like anything. There are no boundaries
It
when we're
opens the doors. Yes.
Yes. So it's like authentic inclusion and authentic, support, because people throw these words around, but what do they really mean, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you talked about, you expanded about Refounded Ed as well as Limitless Ed. And, you touched on that. Then you talked about that networking piece and how you're networking and how people are voting with their funds, right? It's the same thing. We go to a grocery store. I say I want to buy organic instead of non-organic, or local, or wherever. Like, that's how, me as a person, I'm making that one difference. It might seem very small, but it has that bigger impact, because the more people that are following, okay, I'm going to go to the farmer's market, or I'm going to buy organic, or whatever it is, then of course it becomes that movement. And as you mentioned, the movement takes a while, but then as well, now bigger companies are seeing this, right? Why? Because they're losing money, obviously. And so this is when they start partnering. And we see this with either local farmers or, local farmers and agriculture, so that they're not losing their profits as well. And so, I mean, this conversation, it can go on, and people can make a big stink about it, but this is how these partnerships are formed. Now, you started networking, I seen heavily in like 2023 into 2024, this past year, right? Or maybe not even quite a year yet. And then on top of the networking piece, you created allyship. I want to ask you one. I have a couple of questions, and we have only a few minutes. So, one, why did you decide to expand from networking to allyship when it came to forging partnerships and collaborations?
So I don't think I moved necessarily from one to the other, but I moved like fluidly
Expanded,
to both, because essentially networking, I was always a serial networker, and there were so many benefits to interconnecting with people that are doing and not just talking, right? They're actually, and I really believe that education should connect to industry. So imagine children connecting, not just learning in a classroom how to grow a plant, but going into these farms, going, connecting with agriculture on a different level, connecting with the animals. It's a different, like when you start connecting to industry, when you're networking with people, you're absorbing the environment, you're absorbing the people, you're absorbing the energy. There's an exchange. There's always people kind of bump heads sometimes with collaborations, and they can be, they don't have to be a long-term commitment. They can be one-offs. They can be, a longer collaboration type. And we are starting to see people collaborate in just beautiful ways. And, it's hard to get along with others, right? And to collaborate with others. It's easier said than done. And there's always, you know, obstacles that come our way. But when you're dealing with community, you have to confront these obstacles. There's a piece where there's accountability, transparency. And right now we don't have them in any systems. And it doesn't have to be a scary thing, because we should be able to have hard conversations and come to a resolution. And I really see the benefit as we grow for people to have those authentic conversations that will benefit our children, because they will see the reciprocity. They'll see how you work through problems, the conversations you're having. They're going to see through these collaborations, we're improving on our parenting, on our learning and educating side, mentorship. And like there are really no limits. So that's why we called it Limitless Ed Exchange, because there really are no limits to collaboration and connection. Yes. And as we move forward, I believe that we're going to be able to really shift, because before we were learning from those who teach. Now we're going to be learning from those who do. And I do prefer that model, because you're learning from people who have found success. And there's people in the industry that are just, they love to share their knowledge with young, hungry, minds, and, people that are genuinely interested in growth. So it's just keeping that movement going.
100%. And, I want people who are tuned in and listening, or maybe watching the replay, to also understand that, yes, Jeanette is speaking about the education model and system, and she's talking about you as a parent and how your children are learning and how things are evolving. But this also applies to you in your business as well. A lot of people have educational courses and programs that they're using to help others or guide others through that process. And so they need that allyship. And sometimes, depending on whatever model, and you brought up a very good example with the school, it's with the allyship. Like a school is partnering with a farm, for example, to teach how to grow a flower or how to have a garden. And so they're interacting and interconnected, and they're going through all of these different stages beyond just in a class with a book, or planting a kidney bean seed in soil and watching it grow. They're actually understanding soil. They're actually understanding the relationship between the farmer, the land, the plant, the whole entire process, which is wonderful. And so for business owners as well, and you're doing this with LimitlessEdX also, I'm seeing that you're taking and saying, okay, if you have a business and you're partnering, you're doing your networking and our allyship with others, how is that extended, right? You're going to that next level. How is this going to benefit those who are going through the program? And that in itself, and you mentioned it, it's from do as I say now. Hey, I'm going to show you how to do it because I've done it. I went through this experience, and I'm going to guide you so that the path is cleared. I've cleared the path, and here you go. Now you can innovate. Now you can either cultivate new lands or go on ahead of me, whatever it is that you need to do. So that in itself, I want people to understand and to grasp the richness of what you have said in the model that you're producing, because that is what community building is all about. And
And
now,
just
go
to
ahead.
sorry, just to take it
Yeah,
one step further too is like if you think about all these like small schools, a lot of the parents that have jumped and are all in, those parents, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. They have skill sets. So like for example, you in leadership, we have some people who are like directors of movies, who some parents that own like a Muay Thai place.
yeah,
So you are now tapping in not only to the skill set within your education thing, you're tapping into all the parents who want to
yeah,
participate and
yes,
tapping into all of their contacts. So you
yes.
start finding this like organic growth, this organic direction that just starts to emerge, even if you don't fully know what direction you're going
Yeah,
in.
yeah. No, but it's great. And as I said, that leads right into community building. And
Yes.
you need to build the community. You have the people, you rule the world, right? I
Exactly.
know people,
And
some people
without
don't
the
like that
people, what
term.
do you have too, right?
Yes.
People make the world go round. And to those that might be nervous, like you work so hard in all these systems, just be running in a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And imagine being like, really just a center of, you know, everybody's at the center of community. Everybody's really, you kind of you just naturally get that reciprocity. It starts to attract to you because people feel your energy. People feel that you're a hard worker. People feel your authenticity. And then things start to just blossom.
Well, yeah, and that comes in the first part when we talked about the networking and allyship, right? Now you're building the network. The person that you connect with, you're exposed to their network to a certain degree, right? Depending on how the relationship goes, and I mean business relationships, okay, people, um, and then whoever you meet. So it's that whole flow. So you're building a community, and now in this community building, because you recognize that you have a movement on your hands, which takes time, but it's a movement, but it's also moving.
Mm.
You recognize that you need to build that community. Can you please share? My first question, I have many questions. I have three of them. So we'll keep our answers short, right? Because we got to go soon. But the first question is, how can someone that's saying, hey, you know what, I'm ready, I've done the networking, I have my allies, how do I build a community? So how do you build a community?
Boots on the ground. For the last 3 years, I have like I had said, like through events, you just naturally meet people. Those people talk to other people. So making sure that you have like a point of contact and people can reach that point of contact. And then next thing you know, they'll tell a friend. And so you have to go through the motions, especially in the beginning. It might be really challenging to meet with everybody. But once you like start those connections, it'll just naturally snowball and you'll meet more and more people. And then you will scale it. So then maybe you might start meeting one to one, but then you'll start doing maybe classes or groups and start meeting people in larger groups or networking events. And then you just kind of keep scaling your connections. So even though I have a group, I also participate in the groups of others and
Mhm.
other initiatives that belong to other people so that there's an exchange and a participation. And
Yeah.
you have to build just that relationship. It takes time. Like even with investors, they're not just going to be like, hey, great idea, here's a gajillion dollars.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, for
So,
sure, right?
yeah.
And that's it. That level of community, of
Mhm.
connection. You spoke so much about connection, and connection in community is important, because remember, whoever is following me, for example, there's a high likelihood they know, like, and trust me. So now they see you. Oh, okay. Oh, Jeanette. Oh, I like what you're saying. Let me follow along, or let me support her by putting in a comment, whatever it is. And so that's how you start building relationships and expanding out your network. That is how the community is going to be built. And that's just how it is. I think people forget that. My other question about community building, you talked about the value. You talk about the necessity. Obviously, the people make the world go round, so we need the people, right? Like that's just a fact.
Yes.
When you're building the community and you're leveraging each other's audiences, right? And you're building these partnerships. How can you share with us that process to recognize, okay, this is a partnership that can work, a community partnership that can work, and this is a partnership that cannot work? And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because, you mentioned, yes, you do have your one-on-one meets, but you do participate in your community's community event. So whoever one of your followers are, or friends, or someone that you know, if they're hosting something, you're participating. So yeah, share a bit about that process of recognizing, hey, yes, I want John to be in my community, or I want Jack not to be, like, they can follow along, but that's where that partnership goes.
And I think it's just being transparent and vocal. Like, so for example, if you had a bad situation with someone, it doesn't mean you have to, um, go on a huge smear campaign or anything. Just don't do business with them. Like, you are going to, if you think you're going to do business and come out of it completely unscathed, that is not realistic.
Yeah.
The pain points that you have on your journey are actually part of your journey. They give you a backbone. They allow you to speak, and you're allowed to speak honestly, tactfully, but honestly. And you're going to learn like who's who, and who, like, start with small stakes in the game of like a connection, maybe, like a podcast, or like me and Delisa have already more of a foundational existing relationship. So it's just easier for us. But if you're just starting off, then you can snowball based on like what you start to see, and then you just strengthen those bonds with certain people, the ones that are of their word, the ones that engage and want to see your success. And not everybody's going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we are, if people start seeing more people connecting, more people collaborating, I think they're going to start to find a way that works for them to do it as well, and
Mhm.
find out what jive, because you always have like different parent groups, and everybody kind of subgroups, and it's just so natural, whether they're subgrouping for religious reasons, like maybe they're like hockey parents or dance moms, but you'll
Yeah.
always see like multiple different types of subgroups, and you'll start building and forging connections within, different ways, maybe, like holistic. Oh, they do education and wellness. So you'll start to align with people that are similar, and some people that are different, that will add a little spice and pizzazz to your life that you might not know you're missing.
That's right. Well, thanks for sharing that. And for anyone that is tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a question, please put it in the comments. If I don't see it pop up, because sometimes we don't see comments pop up, so I can't share it. But if you have a comment, please put it in there. Or if you have a question, Jeanette and I will definitely respond. If I see it, I will absolutely pop it up. The theme so far for our conversation when we started off, especially with the networking and allyship, talked about connection. And that's key. The first thing is connection. The second thing we discussed was community. Connection, and then you build your community. Now I want to get into the ecosystem. This is a good one. People don't fully recognize that a business has an ecosystem, needs an ecosystem.
Yes.
And part of that ecosystem is your business model, your proposal that you have, which many be like, oh, I didn't write my proposal yet. It's not really necessary. And, you know, whatever you believe in, you still need to have an ecosystem, period. You need one. Take us through, please. We went through connecting, we go through community, and now we have an ecosystem that is, how can that sustain not only what you're doing, but also sustain the people who are utilizing your service, your product, whatever it is, right? How does that ecosystem work?
So think of it as almost like a tree of life, right? So, and say, the funnel part, we are the trunk, right? So, and that's where all the branches, they come together. And every school, every program, they have a branch. They have sub branches of like their own like teacher mentorship programs or parent support programs. And they all have these like branches, and we're all coming together in so many different ways. And once we start to strengthen that bond, you start to see, and there's multiple trees, right? Because no, there should never be a monopoly, and people should go where they feel comfortable. And that's at the end of the day, it's all about choice. And so, but once we start to, you'll start to see like some trees that are bigger, some trees that are thinner, but interconnecting those trees. And one example is like homeschool groups, right? They are like their own entity, but homeschoolers also engage in a lot of the private education sector, like workshops and that kind of thing. And so just having that, you're going to start to see these ecosystems come together, because imagine we have over 1 million educators, actually 800,000 ish, but it's going to grow to 1 million in Canada alone. That doesn't include like the world is vast. But think if all of them opened their own business and went on social media. Social media is going to be one big giant commercial after commercial. And
Well, it's already there.
So the problem is, so we're going to have to start separating into these ecosystems, because parents don't have time. And that was the biggest problem when like people were searching for aligned options. They were going through like groups like the Underground Railroad of education, and parents are working, they are inundated in this information age with all the things, and all of us are feeling like that. So when we have these ecosystems, it's beautiful, because you go in, do what you need to do, engage as you need to, and then get back to what's most important to your family, your kids, and all the additional things that you need to do. And so I think working together, you're just going to lighten the load for each other.
Mhm.
And that's what the ecosystem will do for society. Lighten the load so we can pour into our families, ourselves, because we know that doesn't happen often enough. And that can't be neglected. And we need to just do better. And there's a crisis. And I know people are not either choosing to ignore it or but things are going to get to a point where it's unavoidable.
Yes.
And,
And so, yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And this is where the ecosystem is necessary. In your business, you must have an ecosystem. And your ecosystem is, the things. What are the foundation? That's the roots, the foundation. Now, I mean, there's, a 3-day program and stuff about this that I share about. I know, like, there are other businesses, especially in finance. There's a finance, people in finance, some of them who are using that whole holistic approach. They use the tree of life as, the foundation before they could even get the clients and all those things through the branches. But the roots, what are the foundational roots that you are putting in the ground? And what is the soil? So that means you, business owner, what soil are you? Because out of you, the roots are being rooted from your business, whatever your business is. And that root is drawing energy. That root is drawing substance from you, from the energetic field, the ether, as well as those that are around you. And there is so much things like, where's that water, the water of life? Now you get into the tree growing. Now we have the trunk of the tree, right? Which that is the solid, the strength of it. And the strength part now is like, okay, what are we standing on? The roots find the water. The roots find the nutrients. The roots connect with other trees that are around it and make allies, because you see roots tie in together. You're still standing alone, but you're connected underneath the soil with the roots. And that is the connection where your values, your integrity, your morals, your vision, what aligns with others. And then you see other trees around you, some bigger, some smaller, whatever it is. That is your community. And so the strength of the tree, however strong your tree is, depends on the type of tree that you have planted. That's it. And then as you go out, now you have the branches. And the branches consist of the different areas of your business. And then, of course, you have the leaves. And then there's the fruit. So I wanted to expand a bit more on that so that those who are listening in really grasp what you have said about the ecosystem. And everything interconnects with each other. Everything is cyclic. Everything flows. And so what Jeanette, based on my understanding as well as being part of the community, because I'm part of her community, and I do actively participate because it's important to me. What she's also suggesting with the ecosystem is to see it as that, right? You're sustaining, but you need others. You need connection. You need community.
And I love how you mentioned about the roots too. The roots are almost like we have a top-down dictatorship.
Yeah.
But like from a management perspective, it's better to be that supportive one. And the roots do that. It's the voices of the community that determine how the tree grows and how strong it grows. So because I have my ideas and stuff, and Delise, everybody has their ideas, but if you listen to the community, that will shift the direction your business goes, because you need to listen to your customers, you need to listen to the people, and those voices will determine the direction things go. What do you need? How can we help? How can we improve the situation? Where and how do we need to grow to improve the landscape and society and leave a legacy that we're not embarrassed about? Because right now this is terrible. And, with your kids, you want better outcomes. So, and the voices of the people will determine that. If, like, for example, if there's lots of, mothers that are struggling with neurodivergent kids, they should have the supports in place, and we should be able to cater programs that nurture those deficits, so that this is the need, here are the solutions. And that's where the roots, once you have that foundation, it's going to be quite inspirational, I think.
Yeah, well, not only inspirational, we're talking about influential. When you have a community that is united, right? Once a community is united and they're in agreement for a particular goal or solution, now there is influence. Now you can, change can come into effect. And that is essentially what you're doing, right? You're building the community. You know that you're positively influencing, because you're looking at the next generation. You're looking at the next generation of entrepreneurs that are coming up. You're looking at the next generation of leaders that are coming up, of the tradespeople who are coming up. Many people are so focused on themselves, or I have to help this other client, which is great and it's wonderful, and I recognize, it's business. They forget that the next generation is our children. And our children, and this is globally what we're seeing, need so much support, so much help, so much leadership in the home and in the schools as well, that that with that, this is how we can grow stronger
Yes.
and really impact a generation of entrepreneurs, because that old model, and you talked about the hierarchy from the top down, is no longer working. You go anywhere on any coach, top coach, I'm not even talking about a regular coach in your community, top leaders in industry are talking about it's no longer working. And if they're saying it's no longer working, they're now adopting the bottom up, right? With the community up, exactly what Jeanette is proposing.
Because
So thank you.
Oh, sorry. Because if you think about it, what happens in education is you'll have these resources. So you have this big company that has this product, they grease the wheels at the top,
Yeah.
and they buy, massive amounts for all these schools. The
Yes.
teachers aren't really like, they're like, why spend $500 on this when, instead of just that top down, what if we ask the teachers, what do you need? What
Yeah.
do you want? What's relevant to your area? What's relevant to your demographic? Because, those subgroups are also very important. And we've collaborated with like people in Muslim communities, Christian communities, just people from like homeschool communities, so many different communities. And it's just the power of unity, regardless of where we're from. And I don't know.
It's great.
It's pretty
Well,
awesome.
well, thank you so much for joining in. And to all those who stayed tuned to the end, we appreciate you. We thank you. Don't forget to hit that like, follow, subscribe button. Follow Jeanette. She can be found at RefoundEd on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the channels, all the things. And I also wanted to share with you, if you have questions, maybe you walked away from here and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I need to connect. I understand how to connect. I need community. I need to work on my community or building your ecosystem. Feel free to reach out. This is why we're here. This is why I host the show, because we understand that it is a process. Have an incredible day. Thank you so much, Jeanette, for showing up.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.